We'll work on that while we have the eggplant in the oven. But yeah, all of our snacks are done. I'm going to go ahead and start plating the bowls. So it really does look really beautiful. So that's that. I used 1 package of the rice. If you did 2, you could probably get like 4 servings. But this is really my work from home meal, so I'm okay with that. Okay. I'm just gonna chop these in quarters, or I might dice them a little bit. Go on top. Like I said, if I was eating it now, I would fry an egg. I'm not eating it now, so I won't. But you can add some green onions on top. You can add red onion on top. You can add some more nuts if you'd like. I will probably add some more. I will probably add sriracha since I like it a little spicy. Cilantro as well, but that will happen when I actually eat it. So, okay, that's done. All right, next one. Some more olive oil in the cast iron skillet. Then slice. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the chicken in here. This chicken's already cooked, right? So it's not gonna take very long. And most of this is gonna end up being in the oven. But here we go. So I'm taking half of my container of mushrooms, slicing them, and also going to put them in the pan with the chicken. I'm also going to start getting the sweet onion. And I'm going to take my leftover chicken as well, because I also have the sauce, so I want that all to be in there. Now, if you're making a new sauce with it, because we used Alfredo and maybe you're out of Alfredo, you can take some vegetable broth or some chicken broth. I'm going to use vegetable broth today since I'm using it for the cabbage. And heavy cream and Parmesan. So, but I want to let this first marinate in this olive and get some onions. So let's get some lids for these and put these away. Oh, the broccoli. Almost forgot my broccoli. So let's add the broccoli. You can decide if you want them in chunks or not. I think I'm actually going to. Yeah, it's not ready yet. But since everything's a bit smaller in the bowls, I'm going to break it down a little bit. So for the salmon patties, you can also do like a jerk with it, jerk mix. Like I said, I had leftover jerk sauce, but you could do a jerk mix by doing a curry spice seasoning with it. So just food for thought. Little. Okay. Next. I'm going to add the If you're adding chicken, if it was raw, I would say, you know, you want to do the shake in the bag kind of thing that we did last week. But this is already cooked, and it's cooked in, it's Costco, so it's actually cooked in a broth already, which I really love. So it already has a flavor profile. So you don't need a ton of seasoning. You don't need it to sit overnight or anything like that. So I'm just going to add a layer of vegetable broth. And then I'm going to add heavy cream because I want it to be like an Alfredo. But it's actually going to be more like a mushroom gravy at this point. So, heavy cream. Okay. That's all I need here. Okay. And shortly that's going to go in the oven. You can also keep this vegan and not add the cream or the cheese. You could just add the broth and maybe use a plant-based cheese if you're trying to keep it vegan, or you don't use the cheese, you can use a broth and some kind of thickener. It's really up to you. There's so many options nowadays when it comes to alternatives to cooking a certain way. You know, if you're not doing high fat, then you leave out the cream. You know, if you're doing low carb, then you don't use flour, you use some other kind of thickener. So there's just a lot of options, and I encourage everyone to kind of really explore what works for you and your preferences. So yeah, and actually I'm going to put this in my Dutch oven because I want to use my cast iron for the cabbage. So I have a Dutch oven, but if you have a casserole dish, that's what I kind of feel like it's a fancy term for a casserole dish. But it does help kind of keep the food warm over time. So if you were serving this for dinner, I would recommend just kind of putting it in there. So we're gonna put that in the oven so that it can really, the flavor can melt together. And then we're gonna get started on the cabbage. It should be, you know what, we're not gonna start on the cabbage, I'm just kidding. We're gonna start on the eggplant and get that in the oven as well. And we'll do the cabbage last, or in a few minutes. I don't know. Where's the lid? Okay, there we go. If you wanted to make that the whole meal, you could add cauliflower rice or make a side of rice, put additional vegetables in it. There's many ways to do that. So, this is about done. Where is my paper towel? So the beauty in this is that these are already sliced. So all we're going to do at this point is make sure they're kind of overlapping so there's no gaps. And then we are going to start layering our ricotta, mushroom, and mozzarella on top, okay? So, and the tomato sauce from last week. So there you go. And it's actually tomato soup, but that will work just as well. So, I am going to season with Italian seasoning. Oh no! See, this is why we might want to check before we just go ahead and put. So this is going to be extra seasoned apparently. I'm going to slice these really quickly as part of my layering. And then I'm going to scoop the ricotta. Okay. believe my mozzarella may be already placed. Hope so, but we'll see. So mozzarella or ricotta. I like to treat this like I would a pizza. You can even say these are mini pizza boats. So I'm going to put the ricotta, make one layer. And this, you can add ground beef or ground turkey if you want to make it more protein dense. I'm not. I try to at least do one vegetarian meal a week. So I'm going to keep it like it is. But like I said, you don't have to have the vegetarian version. As always, you all should probably modify these based upon your dietary needs. But, oh my goodness. So this is a little messier than I planned. You can melt the ricotta a bit more if you want it to spread a little bit better, and I'm just using my hands. You can use a fork. But I find for me, it's really grounding to get my hands into kind of a mushy or any kind of different texture. So, that's why I do it, but obviously you don't have to. So we are going to put the sauce on, which is just our leftover tomato soup. I'm going to put the some of the mushrooms on here. I also have some Parmesan to sprinkle on here too. It really does kind of look like a pizza. Okay. And then we're going to put our final layer on. That's it for this. That's really all there is to this one. So, you know, something that I didn't do, which you can do if you prefer, is also skin it. So you don't have the purple. But I feel like there's a lot of nutrients in there as well. So don't quote me on it. Maybe fact check me. But I just like to keep it in there. Once again, it's the color for me, so. And you can just spread the rest of your ricotta here. Try to get a nice even layer, but it's probably not going to be very even. It's probably going to be pretty messy. And if you are a perfectionist, this is a great mindful practice. It's probably not going to be perfectly even, and that's okay. Now, I would say if it's thicker in other areas and you have none on one, then you may want to move some over. But, you know, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if life isn't perfect. We just have to manage our expectations around those things. So, and that's also how we develop mental flexibility. That must be the thing for today. So, another thing to keep in mind. Oh my goodness. Okay. Put the rest on here. Okay, so I actually do spread that out a little bit. If you're like, I'm going to need more tomato sauce, I think I actually have one. So I was using one for soup. Not that much, okay. That's that one, okay. So you can add an extra can. This is okay with me, actually. And I am going to then take mozzarella. I'm just going to slice it and put it on top. If you want to. You don't have to. I just happen to have this, and I didn't want to go bad, so here we are. The oven's already on, so this is good to go. Okay. And that's just garlic. Oh, that's what I forgot, the garlic. How can I forget garlic? Oh my goodness. All right, so I'm going to put the garlic on top. Since you're watching this ahead of time, maybe make sure you have the garlic. I didn't add onion either, which usually I do. And I didn't add ginger. Okay, so today we were lacking a little bit, but we'll add some garlic here. Nonetheless, okay. Okay, garlic. Literally, oh my gosh, okay. I'm just gonna, and I'm gonna keep it chunky because I can handle it like that. If you don't really like chunky garlic, then don't keep it chunky. But I'm cool with it. So since I think I'm the only one that'll be eating this one, that's fine. So just gonna put some chunks in there. Then I'll know when I really have garlic. So, one more. And we'll use the rest of the garlic and the onion for the cabbage. Okay. This is going in the oven because it's prepped, it's ready. So, here we go. Okay, next thing we are going to do is the cabbage. So for the cabbage, I have some bacon pieces. I'm going to use that for the fat. So I'm going to turn my cast iron back on. I am going to take my bacon pieces, which are not diced. I thought they might be diced, but you can dice it. And you don't have to use bacon. You can use, like I said, we're going to use vegetable broth too. So you can use that. I just like the crispiness that the bacon provides, but you don't have to do that. As always, these are just suggestions. But you know your palate, you know your family's palate, you know your community's palate. So I'm also going to add garlic here. And some onion. So for me, I like to not dice the onion. I like to have like ringlets with the cabbage. So, but I like to have them thin. So you can decide how you want to do that. But I like to keep it fairly thin. Add the garlic here. A big clove of garlic. That's why we have so much skin here. But. So for this one, I won't keep the garlic too chunky if I can help it. If you do have one of those kitchen aids that helps with the garlic, crushing it, I highly recommend that. In fact, I might invest in one myself. So for the amount of garlic that I use, it might be actually worth it for me. So if you use a lot of garlic and a lot of onion, highly suggest that you find ways to protect your eyes, protect your hands. So wearing gloves may help. I have on contacts. That's the only reason. Not that you all can see me, but that's the only reason I'm not crying right now. So, but usually when I do this at night, I have my glasses on. So, something to keep in mind. I'm going to turn this off too. Just turned off the Instant Pot because I know my cabbage wraps are done. And if you actually, instead of doing the eggplant, wanted to make like a ricotta wrap, you could just add ricotta trees and wrap it up in cabbage with tomato sauce. It's really good. So it's kind of like a manicotti, but without the pasta. So, but it's super good. And you're getting those probiotics from the cabbage too. So we're gonna fry it. This is kind of a soul food recipe that I've learned throughout the years too, and just kind of how to fry cabbage. So seasoning is once again everything. So don't skip on the seasoning. I like to steam it first so it gets kind of soft, so then I don't have to cook it very long. But like I said, you don't have to steam it either. You could put it straight in the pot, but if you do that, then you have to watch out because it's probably going to take a while for it to glaze. So as I said, seasoning is really important. I think one prime way that we do that is with the fats we use, right? So the bacon, but also adding like vegetable broth or chicken broth. So I'm going to add a little vegetable broth. And I believe in caramelizing first. So I'm caramelizing the onions with the bacon. It's kind of making its own juice there. Okay. I want that to get tender before I put the cabbage in. So let's get our other cabbage together. So I'm going to take this container and take the one head of cabbage out. So the one I'm using for the wraps, I'm just going to put it in a bowl and let it cool. So once it cools, you can literally just take it off slice by slice and just unravel it. It should come off pretty easily. But like I said, I'm going to let it cool a little bit. It's super hot. So, okay. And with the other half, I'm going to grab it. If it comes off easily, see, these are wraps for me. Those come off super easily. This, I'm just going to cut this way, just slice it. Wait. Then you really just gotta put some salt and some pepper. Maybe add some more vegetable oil, or you can add the bacon. I'm probably going to add a little more bacon, honestly, for me. But. You can add turmeric here and make it into a curry as well. I'm going to also add some more olive oil. So yeah, like I said, if you let it cool, it's probably, the leaves are just probably going to just fall off. So just say, look, I already have my lettuce wraps already together. When it gets closer to the core though, that's going to be a bit more difficult. So that's the part we're going to use for so yeah, so these are just going to be a quick lunch snack. Put this lunch meat that's done. Put that with that. I have some leftover jerk chicken, so I'll probably make jerk chicken wraps with that some point this week. And I'm gonna do that. And yeah, we are almost done. So I would say you want to keep that eggplant in there for about half an hour. The chicken, you can keep it in there for about half an hour as well. You don't really need to though. I'm gonna add a bit more bacon. And make sure you add some salt and pepper. But like I said, if you're concerned you're not seasoning it enough, we already have garlic and onion as well as the vegetable broth. So more than likely, you are seasoning it pretty well. But also experiment with other seasonings. If you find something that works better, definitely let me know, because I'm always trying to figure out different flavor profiles too. So. To me, the key with the cabbage is to make sure it's going into shreds so you don't have chunks, and that you season it and have something that's with a crunch. So it's already been steamed, so it's already technically cooked. But for me, and I'll probably add nuts to it and stuff, but it's already cooked. It's already cooked. It's just really about just getting some of the excess moisture out. So you could squeeze it. You get probably a lot of water out. And that's why I also say you don't need a lot of vegetable broth, because the cabbage already has a lot of water in it. So. And yeah, guys, so we are pretty much finished. I don't even know if it took us an hour to do this. Seems like it went by so quickly. So hopefully this was helpful. The sole recipe this time was the cabbage, since for Black History Month we're trying to do an aspect of Blackness. And for me, like, making cabbage, growing up, that was kind of a staple in our family. Like, it was rather inexpensive, and it was super filling, and it had nutrients. So, you know, that was what we had a lot of. I didn't really like it growing up, honestly. Maybe because we had it so frequently, but as an adult, I've learned to appreciate it, and I found different ways to use it. But sometimes it's really good to just have it the way you had it back when you were younger. And yeah, now I can add pickle juice, or I can add more acidity if I'd like. I can kind of make it the way I want it. So even though it is still traditionally the way my family made it growing up, it's also more of my spin on it. The foundation is the same, but, you know, growing up, I don't remember my grandmother or my mom steaming it prior to. And I find that for the kind of texture that I like, it's actually easier for me to work with it if I steam it first. And then I get the cuts that I like. I get, you know, I feel like I can even make a broth out of it. If I wanted to do a soup, I'd have a vegetable broth after putting it in the Instapot for certain. I mean, I should show you all that pot. It's green. So the water is green from the cabbage. So there's many ways to make these things. But I think the key is finding a path for you and not being afraid to try something new, not being afraid to spice it up a bit, even if your family hasn't made it that way, even if you feel like you'd be judged for making it that way. We're not judging you here, okay? So, you know, this is a safe space. And the lovely thing about making this first on your own is that if it's really good, then you can share it. I'm going to add some sesame seeds for some crunch. But if it's really bad, you don't have to share it. So it's a great opportunity. Oh, I'm going to add some red pepper too. I forgot about the red pepper. To figure out kind of what you like about certain flavors. And as you can see, I cook with a lot of turmeric. I really enjoy it. I see health benefits to it. So that's something that my family did not do. But I also believe in salt and black pepper. So there are some things that just stick with us, and then we learn new things along the way, too. Also, different families do things differently. But even if the foundation is the same, everyone has their own taste, and everyone experiments in different ways. So, like I said, don't be afraid to experiment. Your family may look at you funny for bringing in a dish that's different from grandma or auntie, but if they actually enjoy it, then you found a new way. You put a new spin on a tradition. And not that traditions need to necessarily be changed, but I think it's nice to see things evolve over time, and especially if we can add another component of health to it. So you can add lemon juice here. Like I said, I added some sesame seeds because I really enjoy sesame seeds. With the rice we did earlier, you can make you can use chia seeds to add an extra layer of fiber if that's what you're trying to get. Cabbage is coming along really nicely. I'm just going to put the rest of the vegetable broth in there. Okay.